welcome back to Green is Good. This is the ISRI edition of Green is Good, and we're here in beautiful downtown Vancouver at the Vancouver Convention Center. And speaking of the beautiful Vancouver Convention Center, we are so excited to have with us today Dan Lee. He's the Director of Facilities Management of the Vancouver Convention Center. Welcome to Green is Good, Dan.
Thanks, John. We're really excited to have you guys and ISRI here and in our beautiful city. I think you're going to have a wonderful time here.
Well, we are. The place is just gorgeous. This is one of the most beautiful facilities we've ever been and broadcasted from, or I've ever been in my whole life. You know, and for our listeners out there, to learn more about the Vancouver Convention Center, you can go to vancouverconventioncenter.com, and of course, to learn more about ISRI, you can go to isri.org, isri.org. Dan, before we get talking about this beautiful facility we're sitting in that you are the facilities manager of, can you just tell us a little bit about Dan Lee? Talk a little bit about your story and your life leading up to this very important position you have here in downtown Vancouver.
Oh, John, that's a great question. You know, I've always been involved in sustainability and energy management in my entire career. You know, I'm a father of two. They're always recycling, and Vancouver has always been a leader in that field in terms of sustainability. And, you know, there's the Vancouver 2020 Greenest City Initiative as well. And, you know, for me, sustainability is really important for our future generations, and it's something I'm really happy to be part of at the Vancouver Convention Center because we can play a very influential role in that.
Did you grow up, I mean, in a very green household? Did you grow up here in Vancouver or somewhere?
Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver.
So was you were inspired by the city, by your mom and dad, or something happened in your education process to get you so into sustainability and green management?
Yeah, my parents have always been my role models, and they've always taught me about recycling, and my wife and kids, they're always reminding me about that. You know, the city separates everything in terms of recycling, and sustainability is something that's everywhere you go in the streets of Vancouver, you hear about the green city. It's just a movement that's just becoming bigger than what we expected it to be.
It's not only a green city, I got to tell you something, Dan, it's truly one of the cleanest, most gorgeous cities in the world. It's world class. Yeah,
it's very world class. There's that balance of work and having a good life here. And, you know, we take that very seriously here in terms of, you know, we want this to be a world class city, and we want to do that by leading and, you know, showing the world that it can be done.
We're sitting here in the Vancouver Convention Center, the West Wing, so to speak. And you know, talk a little bit about this beautiful West Wing that we're sitting in. When did it open up, and when did this expansion happen?
Well, John, this opened up in April 2009, right before the Vancouver 2010 Winter Olympics. And we hosted the International Broadcast Center from here. And with the opening of our West building, it basically tripled our capacity.
Wow.
To host conventions and events. And with the Olympics here at our doorsteps, you know, it really put us on the map in terms of what the city can do to host some of the world's best events. And we're very proud of that.
By having more capacity as the Director of Facilities Management here, does that open up then the possibilities to almost host any type of convention? You no longer were precluded from conventions due to size issues?
Oh yeah, we had our convention center in the East building over there, and it was a very great part of our history. And that's where we started with the Expo 86 of any of your listeners remember around that time.
Right.
But we felt there was a need to expand because, you know, we were losing convention dollars in terms of the economy. Our mandate is to generate economic activity, and we just weren't getting a lot of that. We weren't in that segment. But with that opening of the West building, it really tripled our capacity, and we can host the world, as you've seen with the Winter Olympics, with ISRI here, and yeah, we're ready to take on anything.
Well, you know, you're the Director of Facilities Management. What does that really mean? How wide is your umbrella in terms of your role?
Well, in terms of some of the primary responsibilities I'm responsible for, some of them are facilities operations, facilities planning, and sustainability. You know, operations, we make sure we operate the building so that everyone comes here, enjoys a great experience. Planning, you know, this is such an iconic facility for everyone, for our community, for our industry, that we have to make sure that it remains that way and inspires. So there's a lot of planning that goes on behind the scenes as well, right? And sustainability is something I'm really proud of. It's just something we have to do. And you know, I'm a numbers guy. When numbers start adding up, it makes sense, right?
You know, one of the things when I was reading about this wonderful facility, I think the terminology I read was the Vancouver Convention Center is leading the way. And leading spelled L-E-E-D-I-N-G. Can you share a little bit with our listeners and our audience out there what LEED means, L-E-E-D means, and what that means not only on a macro level, on a micro level here at the Vancouver Convention Center, what it means to you and what you've done here?
Yeah, LEED is the highest certification that you can get from the Green Building Council. We're certified LEED Platinum, and what that is it's specifically to the building. And for us, it's not just about the building, right? LEED being at that level, at the highest level possible, it's a philosophy that we've embraced in our organization. Not just with what the building can do, but what our staff can do with the events that happen here. In terms of working with the planners, we take that to the next step in terms of opening it up for dialogue and inspiring. That's what LEED is for us is about. It's about, yes, there's the technology behind it, but it's how people embrace that and how they take that sustainability movement and make it something bigger for the future generations.
So your platinum level, you're the highest level.
Yes, we are the first convention center in the world to have that LEED Platinum designation.
The first?
Yes.
So you truly are leading the way.
We are leading the way.
I love it.
In every way.
What year did you start working for the convention center as a whole?
I started here about 2 years ago.
So okay. So you started 2 years ago. Talk a little bit about the planning, in terms of design and planning. To be a LEED Platinum just doesn't happen. How did you have to go about the facility design and planning and then building process to attain that platinum status?
Well, there's many considerations to get LEED Platinum. It's not that easy. You have to look at things such as recycled materials, renewable processes, the recycling programs. There's so many things involved in it. Your construction materials have to be selected carefully. It's a very rigorous process, and it's not something that's easily achievable. You need to be audited. There's so many things to prove. But you know what? When it happened, we were thrilled. The community was thrilled. As an organization, we're just happy that we can lead that way.
To be the first LEED facility in terms of a convention center in the world, I mean, it's amazing. Do other directors now come here and try to learn from you on how to attain that kind of status, or how to at least get LEED certified?
Well, the convention and event business is a very close group, and we do have dialogue with other convention centers, and you know what? We help each other out where possible. Gotcha. There's great things that we do, but then there's many great things that other convention centers do, and that's what it's all about.
So you're sharing best practices all the time.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about sustainability. If you and I ran into each other at an elevator today, and I asked you I asked you what you did, and I said, give me your elevator pitch on sustainability at the convention center. What are the top of mind issues that you're most excited about with regards to sustainability here at the beautiful Vancouver Convention Center?
Well, some of the issues that we see here in terms of sustainability is a way to inspire people. That is inspiring it and setting it up for the next generation, right? As a father too, I want to make sure when I do anything that I take my kids into consideration, that we give them a world that they can be proud of, not a world where we can say, oh, my parents did this, right? And it's great to see in the educational systems now. That's one thing I'd love to see is education is taking a lead in terms of sustainability early on in the early stages, where kids nowadays growing up, sustainability is going to be a norm for this current and next generation. It's fantastic to see because it is the normal thing to do. And if you're not doing or pitching sustainability nowadays, are we doing something wrong? And it's a great thing to see.
It's true. For our listeners and our audience out there that just joined us, we're so honored to have with us today Dan Lee. He's the Director of Facilities Management here at the Vancouver Convention Center. We're sitting in the West Wing, and I can't even, as far as my eye can see, that's how big this gorgeous facility is, and it's meticulously maintained. It's so gorgeous. We're so honored to be here to learn more about the Vancouver Convention Center, and it is leading the way. It's the first LEED certified, platinum LEED certified convention center in the world. Go to VancouverConventionCenter.com. This is the ISRI edition of Green is Good, and to learn more about ISRI, the great Institute of Scrap Recycling, go to ISRI.org. ISRI.org. let's go back to sustainability. I read about your 6-acre living roof, not living room, living roof. What is a 6-acre living roof?
Well, it's one of our best examples of our commitment to the environment. John, you know, we have, as you said, it's a 6-acre living roof. We have 4 beehives up there that can house up to 60,000 European bees.
Whoa.
And you know, it creates a habitat for the birds, for the insects, and for other mammals. And you think of it, this environment is in downtown Vancouver. So this building is not your typical boxed convention center. You know, you go to other ones where you see windows and walls, but this one you're surrounded by like glass, and the roof, it just really complements and it just shows what we can do with the environment.
So wait a second. You have beehives.
Yeah.
What else is up there?
We have beehives. We have 400,000 indigenous plants as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a ecosystem up there.
Do people go tour it, or is it just to help the ecosystem, or do schools come and and tour the area as well?
We do tours. That's one of the things we're most proud of is our tours. We do lots and lots of tours here for the community, for professional associations and we get lots of inquiries from international organizations asking about our living roof, our programs, and we do tours where possible. We do quite a few tours.
The bees are honeybees or not honeybees?
They're honeybees, and the honey that's extracted from that, it goes into our scratch kitchen. That's another thing that we have here. We have a scratch kitchen which makes everything fresh from local products, and the honey is used to go into our exclusive pastries that we serve to our guests.
Wow. So the honey is actually being used in the food production here at the convention center.
Yeah, the food production, we like I said, we use local products close by. We reduce the emissions in terms of transportation. We try to use as much local products.
Truly driving the circular economy here at the Vancouver Convention Center. It's amazing. You know, talk a little bit about your black water treatment facility. What does black water treatment mean even? I don't even know, and I'd love our audience to hear from you. What is black water treatment facility?
Well, our black water treatment facility, the best way of putting it is every time we flush a toilet, that water goes somewhere. And we have a system here where the water is recycled. You know, as cities become bigger and bigger, there's pressure on the infrastructures in terms of population growth. You know, this is it's a way of inspiring communities and cities in terms of, look, yes, we have a system here where we flush it and it goes into our plant, it's recycled. The water is rendered again for reuse and it goes back into the system. And that water is actually used to irrigate our living roof as well. And so there's multiple uses for it, and it's such a fascinating plant, and it's a question that we get asked all the time about during our tours.
I mean, but Dan, the technology exists now. Well, I saw Bill Gates recently on the Jimmy Fallon show.
Yes, I saw that too.
And he was drinking what he called poop water.
Yeah.
I mean, so that technology exists. So you've taken that technology and you've taken black water and made it into irrigation water.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So truly recycling.
Yes, truly.
So speaking of recycling, what other recycling programs do you have here on premise here at the Vancouver Convention Center?
Well, John, we try to recycle absolutely everything. That is the best way of putting it. You know, from plastic bottles to metals to wood pallets, you name it. We do our best to recycle it. If there's something that we have a question about, there's no harm in asking the cities and our business partners, how can we recycle it? We're always looking for new ideas in terms of sustainability, but also with our event managers, who are fantastic. They work with a lot of planners in terms of how can we make the events more greener, recycling, in terms of the carpet that comes in here, in terms of the products that they order, right? We don't want to order too much, so our great event managers work with a lot of the planners to make sure that recycling program is just part of the culture.
So it's part of the DNA and the culture for everyone you hire here. Yeah. That's how it works. Yeah. How many employees do you have here, by the way?
We have quite a few employees here. There's a combination of official suppliers and Vancouver Convention Center staff. It's I believe it's somewhere around 600 people. But 600
people.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the future. You've done so much already, and you're one of the world's leading, if not the world's leader in sustainability and green facilities. Definitely leading the way, being platinum lead. What's the future? When you sit down with your colleagues and other leadership members, Well, how do you then draw out the next 2 to 5 and beyond years here at the Vancouver Convention Center?
Well, one of my roles is we have to map out what's going to be happening in the next 5 to 10 years.
So
right?
tell us what's going to be happening.
Well, in terms of what's going to be happening, one of the things that we do want to remain relevant in is leading the way is to inspire the rest of the industry and our communities in terms of what can be done. You know, we have a black water treatment plant here. Not every building can have it, but it's an idea that can inspire many people in terms of municipalities, in terms of other organizations. What can we do to, because the pressure on the municipal infrastructures are going to increase with population growth, right? We want to be in a position where we can inspire the next generation. And that's what, you know, one of our purposes as the Vancouver Convention Center is we want to lead the way in terms of inspiring the next generation.
When you talk about the black water treatment facility and you're talking to other convention center managers or other people that want to understand it better, is the ROI just compelling in terms of, you know, the cost that it does to, you have to expend to put it in, and then what you make back in terms of return on investment in terms of water and energy and other types of savings?
Well, the ROI can be returned in many ways, right?
Right.
There's people always focus on the financial.
Right.
But there's other things that need to be measured in terms of, you know, we have a lot of attendees here. A lot of the attendees from ISRI, they are the current thinkers and future business leaders. In terms of, you know, ROI is always good to look at, but there's other ways of measuring inspiration.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got you. So it's important from a messaging and a cultural point of view to have that here, to be able to message that and inspire others to follow suit, because as you know, and as you said earlier, we have a water problem, you know, in California and all across the world right now. Water being one of the biggest, you know, issues besides climate change that we're facing. The black water treatment facility is one of the great
It's a
answers.
great example. It's a great example. It's a way to inspire people. There's many solutions to many of the world's problems. But as long as we continue the dialogue and we continue to inspire, I think that's what's really going to drive the future growth.
Dan, how old are your children? You talked about legacy earlier, and that's such an important thing for our audience to hear, that when you make decisions and you carry on your own professional life, you're always thinking about legacy issues and the next generation, which is wonderful and really, really great to think of. How old are your children?
My kids are 8 and 10, Ray and Ricky. They're grown up in a world where sustainability is the norm, and in their schools they're taught about, you know, recycling, sustainability, all these things. When I was a kid, it was an afterthought, right? But now, you know, when they think, I would think that when they think of their dad, he tried to make a difference, and he tried his best.
I think you're doing more than trying your best. You're doing a heck of a job, Dan. And I'll tell you what, you inspired me and our audience today. So I thank you for coming on Green is Good. And believe me, your kids don't think you're trying your best. They think you're the cool dad. You know, I'm sure they think you're the cool dad. Again, thank you for joining us today. This is the ISRI edition of Green is Good. And we're so honored to be invited by ISRI to be here. And to learn more about ISRI, go to isri.org. We're here at the Vancouver Convention Center in the West Wing. We're going to be filming and taping and broadcasting live from the Vancouver Convention Center all day today. And I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest venues we've ever been to around the world, and we're so happy and excited and honored to be here. And the guy leading the charge here, the Director of Facilities Management, Dan Lee, has been with us. He's been our special guest. And Dan, you've inspired all of us. You've inspired me. You are living proof that green is good. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at our next show.